All right, I think it's official. I saw 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's all the way live right about now. Rachel Brown is in the house tonight. Boy, I'm excited about this because you know when you got an old friend in the house and somebody doing what you do and do it like they do it. Let me tell you something, man. That's a game changer. And this young lady tonight, man, I'm fired up about it. You might think about I might be jumping up and down in my chair saying woohoo, you know. But I'm so glad to have Rachel Brown in the house tonight. She's got a great story. Welcome to the GG Factor every Tuesday night. We're here to inspire you. We're here to get you empowered, get you information to inform you about what's going on out there. Somebody's done something you want to do, and guess what? That means that you can do it too. I always say, if I've done it, you can do it. And I know Rachel Brown can say the same thing. How you doing, Rachel? What's up?
Hi, hello. Thank you so much for having me. So glad to be here on the GG Factory.
No doubt, man. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you got such an incredible story. I'm always excited about people who can find a way to have a passion for something and monetize it. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you know, this is the Hall of Fame of, can I say, singers. What 20, 25 years in South Florida now, and you still doing your thing. Come on, man.
About 25 years.
Choo. And hey, I'm telling you, that's a toot for you, Rachel.
Well, you know what? You have to give you a toot for yourself too, because you've definitely been a big part of it. So,
oh man, thank you, man.
You and I have been working together for so long. It's awesome that we haven't, we've been able to continue doing what we love and to continue to not kill each other.
No doubt, right. Hey, you know something? Where there's passion and purpose, there's always possibility. And in the name of the God that's in both of us, I mean, for us to be in this game for over 2 decades together, it's just priceless. So when I stop this music right about now, I'm going to say this to you that makes it official for me to shut up, turn the floor over to should I say, the ladies who's the one to start the show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Rachel Brown, host of Girl Talk. World-class performer, singer, entrepreneur, songwriter, producer, man. She's doing all this stuff in the business and she's still standing. We was kind of having a conversation behind the music, but Rachel and I have known each other well over 20 years. Yes. And that's one of the questions and things we're going to talk about tonight. But Rachel Brown, how you doing? Talk to me.
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on your platform, the GG Factory. I mean, the GG Factor. And I want to say factory. I don't know why. But thank you so much for having me. You know, we've been rocking. I remember when you first started, you know, with your activate and stagnate. You've been activating me and activating us, me and my family for many, many, many years. So we thank you so much for the platform and so happy and proud of what you're doing.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm more than honored to say it's been my pleasure to have known you as long as we've known each other. Against all odds, they always say that relationships will always be the new currency. And I can say that we have truly a relationship that's timeless. We've been doing. So once again, I'm going to bounce it back to your camp and say, what is your why, Rachel Brown? Why are you in the music business? Why do you have that, even right now, that tenacity and audacity that says you're going to stay in this capacity? Why the music business?
Well, you know what? In order to stay in the music business, and I think anything for that long, you have to have love and passion. I believe right now, over the years, it has been different things for me, but now it's the love. It's the love and the passion that I have, not only for music, but the arts in general. Exactly. You know, that is so needed. And I feel like what has kept me going is being able to be a refuge for people, you know, a place that they can go outside of everything that they're dealing with in the world. I believe that music brings people closer together, and the passion that I have for it, I hope and pray, and I mean, I really think it does resonate with the individuals that we work and perform for. So that is my why. My why is, you know, and it just so happens, you know, I could get paid for doing it. I get paid for doing what I love. You know, I could be doing, God could choose for me to do anything in the world, but he gave me this wonderful gift and he allowed me to meet individuals like yourself and, you know, the rest of our team to be able to share this gift with the world. And I am very humbled. I'm very humbled and grateful. You
I tell
know,
you what,
that's
I want
my
to say this
why.
to you. That is a beautiful why, because one thing you've just said that I totally concur with is this. Once you discover that you can monetize your passion, there are no ifs, ands, and buts about it. That is destined. That is destiny speaking to you. That is your blueprint. That is your
Mm-hmm.
system. And my sister, you got a system. I mean, it's just amazing to me that how many people have come and gone in this industry, and that is why I say to people, man, it may sound a little funny to you, but all I can say to you is that I've been around nothing but great people. And when great people got great things going on, there's something like a magnet. They pull people in. And
Mm-hmm.
Rachel Brown, for all the
Mm-hmm.
years that you've been in the business with me and we've been doing what we do, you've been that magnet. You've been that sort of just seed that you plant in people that they want more of it. And I mean, you and I go back to the year 2000. You're talking about 25 years of working
Mm-hmm.
together. And I tell people that that's not by just some oops, oops, oops. I mean, it was a lot of hard work. And that goes to my next question here about you and I both know who brought us together. My man, James J.T. Taylor, he brought us
Oh
together
yeah.
in a manner that I will never forget. He called me up, said, hey, man, I got this tall, beautiful woman that you need to meet. And boy, she can sing, man. She just got here from Lufkin, Texas. And I said that, oh, she a Texas girl, huh? He said, yeah, G, but man, let me tell you, man, I know what your business and what you're doing in the business and how long you created your platform that, man, you and Rachel could connect and make it work. And I could still resonate that conversation in
Mm-hmm.
my head. And guess what?
Yeah, JT was very he it was very inspirational. He believed in me, I believe, more than I believed in me.
Hmm.
He did something, he did a lot of things that he did not have to do, and I'm forever
Mhm.
grateful because he knew that basically I basically just rode in here on the back of a pickup truck almost,
I
and
got you.
landed in this beautiful South Florida area without, I mean, I'm not gonna say not without direction, because I did know, that I wanted to deal with people. That's something that I've always wanted to do. I'm a people person. And so with JT, I was actually introduced to JT from Jermaine, our friend Jermaine Gamage. Jermaine
Okay.
believed in my talent. And when I went and auditioned for them, they had a production when they brought people in for comedy, him and Wayne
Okay.
and Chris. All of them had this thing together, and they brought me in for an audition, and they couldn't really use me for what they were doing because they were doing comedy. So,
Correct.
but Jermaine told me, Jermaine was like, "Listen, I'm gonna come and pick you up tomorrow, and I'm gonna take you to a couple of people that I know, and introduce you." And he took me to JT house, and he also took me to Lawrence brother house, Eric Carter, and I met them. And then
Wow.
JT was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a singer right now." And JT put me some books because they ain't have all these wonderful iPads. He put some books
Exactly.
together like this,
Yes.
and he was like, "I'm gonna introduce you to this guy. You guys were working at Sarone's at the time." He
Okay.
was saying, "I want you to come to Sarone's, and I'm gonna tell him to play these songs and get up there and do your thing." Hey, I guess I did a good job because here
Hey,
25 years
you
later,
know
we
something?
still.
Let me tell you something. You mentioned something I got to say to you, man. I almost forgot about that kind of audition because the one thing, when you mentioned the club Sarone's that's no longer there, but I do remember that place because we worked there for a long time. And you know something? I might as well interject it tonight. That was one of the nights that you saved my life because I went away to run the Jacksonville Marathon. This is one of my 25 medals,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, that I left one night early, early in the morning, flew to
I
Jacksonville,
remember.
Florida. And
Mm-hmm.
if it hadn't been for someone like you and the band there to hold the fort down for me till we got everything all together, I flew to Jacksonville, ran the marathon, flew back in town, came to Saron's that night. And Rachel, I can still remember by the last set, a brother was through.
We didn't know how you were surviving. I
Hey,
thought you was Superman. When I was like, who does this? I couldn't believe that somebody had. I was like, now he couldn't have ran the whole marathon. Surely he ran half of 10 miles or something. But I mean,
26
that
miles,
That
26
was
miles and jumped on an
crazy.
airplane and flew back. And you know something? And another reason why, back in the day, there was no computers. We was playing live. Everybody had to know what they needed to know. I couldn't find no bass player who could sing the songs and play the tracks. So I said, you know what? I know they're gonna hold it down. I may get a little tired later tonight, but I think I got the right people that's got my back. And you know something? You've had my back for over
Yeah.
2.5 decades. And I'm gonna tell
Yeah,
you something
that was
too,
crazy.
JT. But I
That
want
was
to say
crazy.
this. You said something that I gotta concur with you because I gotta give my man an unconditional shout out. James JT Taylor has been an angel to us. The first recordings we did together,
And
he allowed us to come into his studio and record our little, should I say, cover CD we did that got us so much work. So much. I can see us right now at the the Las Olas Riverfront down there, Riverfront down on Fort Lauderdale. Yep, when we did the CD release party together. And you know, let me tell you something. All of those days gave birth to these days. And his name is Simon T. Bailey, Rachel. I might as well, while we're talking about it, a lot of people need to understand this, that relationships will always be the new currency. You can play around with it if you want, but if you find somebody, you believe in them, you find somebody, they believe in you, and you become as one in what you do together, at the end of the day, nothing can stop you, because at the end of the day, you had offers, I had offers, JT had offers, everybody around us could have just went every way but the way that we went. And, you know, speaking of that, because we're speaking about JT, I know you and I, we're all going to be arranging one day to have a big UMG reunion that we were talking about earlier today. And I'm looking forward to it. But between James JT Taylor, Israel Charles, your husband Carl Brown, Stuart Bacon, I mean, people around us in our circle, man, that just came into us, believed in us, believed that we could do it. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, this young lady I'm talking to right now has had a #1 single in Billboard, #1 CD single called Let's Fall in Love Again. And that is why I know that your passion was definitely supposed to be your purpose. And you know what? You knocked on the door, Rachel Brown, and the universe answered you, you know. So when did you discover you could sing? That's one of my loaded questions. I met you when you were a grown-up girl, got your husband, got your life. When did Rachel Brown wake up and say, ooh, I
was still a baby. You still met me. Hey, we married super young. We still didn't know what we were doing. But, you know, I actually, my mom used to clean up on Saturdays. And she would, one of her favorite artists at the time was Tremaine Hawkins. And she used to sing Tremaine Hawkins walking around the house. So one day, you know, after hearing it so much, I started singing. And she was I'll never forget, she was in the next room. And I saw her peeping in my room door like, is that you in here singing? And I was like, yeah, just so happens. We lived in like a duplex at the time. So our next door neighbor was like the minister of music at the church. He was she took me out in my PJs right to the next door neighbor house, which was, you know, there was their friends at the time anyway. And she, you know, I'm gonna call, I can't believe I'm gonna say this to the world, but he was like, Poo Poo, you can sing.
So that's that nickname nobody knows but the people in Lufkin, Texas. Don't nobody but Lufkin people know Poo Poo.
Nobody but Lufkin people know Poo. If you calling me that, I know you know me. We can't even hide. I know you know who I am.
Wow.
But
how old were you, Rachel? What was your age?
This was probably around first or second grade. So yeah, the next time I was singing was my friend and I, Edna, we sang at school. They had a little talent show in the second grade. And we sang, I like to eat apples and bananas. We sang, I like to eat. I like to eat apples and bananas. And then you go, a late, eight. And then elite, eat all the vowels.
Right, I got you, no doubt. You know what's funny about what you said? I must interject right here because two things you're talking about that are so relevant too. It seems like without even being on the same side of the world together, things happen the same way. I discovered my sister Ruby Baker at 12 years old, just playing around with her voice, singing and singing the same way like you. And I told my brother, I said, man, I don't know what y'all looking around for, but Fern, her nickname in the family is her middle name, Fern. She's Ruby Fern Angela Baker. And Ruby was singing, and then she started singing some Michael Jackson back then. And she was singing. I said, Fern, come on now. You got it. And I was 16 years old, and we formed our first band.
Wow.
That was in the same way like your mom heard you. I heard her singing.
Yeah, we did. We did. I sang, at the church. They had a little choir called the Cherubim's. We sang in that. And then I don't even know. I was talking to one of the guests that came on my show about when I was in high school. I was in a group called Greg Garcia and the Family Circles. Greg is all the Gregs I know. They have always did me right, boy. I love the name Greg, boy. Y'all, Greg.
Well, it's biblical. They've been telling me that my name is I got an angel around me, and I gotta say it. I want to say the same thing to you, that you've been an angel. And Rachel, let me tell you something, man. For all of the things that anyone could ever tell me about this music business, I will tell people right away: form your relationships with people. Talent is great, but it's about the relationship. Imagine if we had met Iz. Imagine if we didn't connect with JT. Imagine if I didn't have the relationship with the agencies. And then imagine, and you and I are so blessed, we go to play one country club. We go to do one party. And to this day, we are still working at the Boca West Country Club. That's more than 20 years ago. And to this day, Christina is still giving us work to this day. And is it next week? One Friday from now, we'll be right back on that stage together. So all I say to you is this: I wanted to I'm so glad you shared that. I'm sure that everyone out there can stop for a minute now and understand that it's the foreign effect you don't forget that's always present. When it's innate, when it's intrinsic, when it's inherent, it's inborn in you, and you can't, it's nothing. And guess what? It's like George Wilder said, you're going to love it, and ain't nothing you can do about it. And God put that in you. It's clear that
it's been a blessing. Yeah. Music has definitely been a blessing for me. It is, it's like one of those things that, it has its ups and downs and its twists and turns. But it's been a blessing, and, it has definitely brought a lot of joy to my life. I don't know at this point what I would have done and what my life would look like without having the music there. And I owe so many people a lot of credit for it, not just myself. God gave me the talent, but he's also placed wonderful people around me. And, and I just always feel like, and everybody in my world can attest to me being a loyal individual. As much as I've been pulled here and pulled there and pulled here and pulled there, I've been very, very strategic, and I've always been there and ready and willing to bless the people.
Very dedicated. The word for you is dedication. I would just abruptly interrupt and say you are a very dedicated person. You are a focused person. You are someone that when you say you're going to do it, you're going to be there and you make it work. That's what JT saw. Now, people don't know this about you, but you were a teacher.
Yeah, I did.
Nobody knows that. This is what this show is all about. People got to understand something, that you were on the track, elementary school, right?
Yeah, I was teaching first grade when I first met you. And your gigs to Key Largo is what made me decide I couldn't do it all. It was a lot, boy. I don't know how you did it. It was a lot.
31 years, Rachel.
We were getting going. I remember being in the classroom, trying to teach first graders. And then, I was bringing my things to school to change and drive to Key Largo for the gig that we had there. We were doing it like 3 days a week. I don't know. It was crazy. Then like, I remember I found an old calendar where we were booked like every freaking day for like a whole 2 months almost. We were like, boom, 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 boom. And I was teaching out. And then it was actually a blessing. The time I had just gave my paperwork in saying I wasn't coming back, and found out I was pregnant. So it was perfect time.
Oh, whoa. And you know what? I remember you
Cause
coming to
Cause
the
you was
executive
paying me more
lounge.
money, Greg. I was making
Uh-huh.
more money going and gigging than I was singing. I was like, you know what? I could just do this on the weekend. It don't make
And you know something? Your incredible husband, Carl Brown, has been your source to, he was a teacher. He
mm-hmm,
decided that he would go into another track. And you know
mm-hmm,
something? That's the power behind the reality of having an inner vision to make revisions. And
mm-hmm,
sometimes, and if you grounded in spirit enough, you listen to the still small voice. You know, as Psalm 46:10 would say, be still and know that I'm God. And I'm not here
mm-hmm.
to get very religious with you, but you better be spiritual. You better
Oh
have
yeah.
something that anchors you in spirit,
Mm-hmm.
because what's out there and the way things are in this world right now, they're very, very fragile, fragile, fragile times. So I just want to just kind of, bring people up to speed about you and get them to understand this. I have another question for you, Rachel, because it has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. And I think you mentioned it once, but I was always curious. You're 6 feet tall. You're drop dead gorgeous woman. Have you ever done any modeling in your life? Have you ever been approached to do it? I mean, you got that
Well,
God gift there.
uh,
Have you ever done
uh,
that?
honestly, that was what I thought that I was gonna do.
Oh,
When I was in high school, I was approached a couple times because I was tall and I was
yep.
like this big, and
That's what they look for.
my dream was either to be on Star Search, singing,
Okay.
or to do modeling. Well, I started getting all these notifications in the mail, and people were reaching out, to my mom about me doing some modeling, but I didn't bite on it. I actually did, because I did a pageant my senior year in high school. I was in a pageant, and I thought it was so boring just walking up and down. I was like, there's more to me than walking up and down the freaking
Than just the physical,
thing. And
just your
then
physical look. Exactly. I hear you.
and then my brothers called me. They definitely discouraged me because they said I looked like the Pink Panther walking
Oh,
down
Lord.
the runway. They was like, I was walking down the runway like da 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 da. I was like, oh my
Oh,
god.
boy.
I was so after that, I was like, yeah, nah.
Well, you know what? I want to say this. Thank you for letting us know why the universe had a different use for your intellectual property, not just the physical you, but the voice in you. And you know something. Speaking of that, I want to bring up the fact that while I can't believe it, almost a half hour already. I told you. You see, it's like a blank. But I got to tell people about what's going on with me on Thursday nights.
Mm-hmm.
Every Thursday night is my Strive Masterclass. This book are the ones that you can have an opportunity to win every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. The Strive Masterclass is about what we're talking about tonight, but you get the opportunity to come into my Get Activated community. I'm running all the way past the summer. I'm going to say, let's take a run for the last quarter right now, October, November, December, $49.99. Coming to the Get Activated community. Your choice of either one of my books right here will be for you. But the point I
Awesome.
want to make to you is this. If you take a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day look at yourself and determine where you're functioning in mind, body, spirit, it's a big deal out here on mental health right now. It's a big deal
Oh
out here on
yeah.
how our cognitive abilities, a big deal out here on how we're being impacted by so many negative things that we need to be balanced. We need to be in a place where we can realize that we're functioning at our maximum potential. And tonight, I'm just honored that I can say to you that this is one of my intellectual properties. What I utilize every week or every 2 or 3 weeks with Rachel Brown, another intellectual property. Someone I'm talking to out there, you've got a monetizing passion that you're just sitting on. This young lady with me tonight, she's a clear example of it. If you love it, it's going to love you back. But sometimes you might need a mentor. Just like she
Most
found
definitely.
JT. You found JT back then without even knowing it, but he was a mentor. He was someone that anchored you. He's someone put you in the right direction. And for me, to give people an opportunity, maybe you want to write your first book. Maybe you want to buy your first property. Maybe you want to open that restaurant. Maybe you might want to get that digital platform you've been thinking about. Maybe you just want to become a speaker. And all I'm saying is on Thursday nights, The Get Activated community offers you that platform. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
you want more opportunity than that, then there's a maximum potential coaching, which obviously costs you a lot more money because then you get more of me. But I'll tell you this, time wastes on no one.
Mm-hmm.
Procrastination will kill you. Sitting on the bench of procrastination because of the fear of failure is one of the greatest obstacles to anyone's success story. If I kept letting the fear monster stop me, I don't think I'd ever came to South Florida, Rachel. I don't think I'd ever formed my band down here. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that I ever would have decided one day. And you went to my apartment building that I bought 20 plus years ago. Matter of fact, you came into my life right at the time that I just bought that apartment building. And can you imagine? I kept that apartment building for almost 25 years. And when I sold it, I was able to take that money and buy a strip mall. And anybody in my camp, if you want to learn real estate, if you want to be an author or a speaker, if you want to be someone that can monetize your passion, all I'm saying to you is come on out. The link is already in the messages there in the comments. All you got to go to otherwise is my website, theactivator.net, and click Get Activated Community, and I got you. So that's an unconditional plug.
Well,
Every
it
Thursday.
most definitely, you are definitely a motivator, and that's for
Well,
sure. Because a
you
lot
know,
of days I was like, okay, you keep me in line. All right, Rachel. All right, you got it. So
but
that's
you
what I
did.
said. You've been motivating me for years. So you definitely found your passion. You're definitely doing your thing. And anybody out there with reservations, don't have them because you have the
Okay.
best coach here. He's definitely one that's going to get you to where you're going. Because
Well, thank you so much,
25
Rachel.
years later,
I
I'm still
appreciate
in the
that.
game. If it wasn't for
Hello.
him, who
You know,
knows? I probably would have fell off. But we were definitely, it's definitely a reason why we're still together. And there's definitely a reason why, I keep him around.
hey, let me. You know something. I appreciate that, and I'm gonna now shift the gears back to the lady who's the star of the show tonight, and we're gonna totally take a 360 now because we've been talking about you as a singer, songwriter, producer, all kind of live entertainment, all kind of songwriting. We talked about your number one hit. I would never ever forget that people need to always remember that you don't just get a number one hit in Billboard. We went to Atlanta, Georgia, and I would never forget that trip in my
Mm-hmm.
life that against all odds. Back then, when Beyonce's dad was just trying to tell people what they needed to do, and you and I sit there and listen to them, and the rest is history. And that's why I
Mm-hmm.
say that when you got what it takes, don't ever think that you still got to have something I call tenacity. And
Right.
and Rachel Brown, you've had that tenacity and the audacity to function in the capacity. I call it tact. So now we're going to shift gears. I think that little sign behind you says "girl talk." So
Yeah.
I'm going 360 right now. We got about another 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I want you to say what now. It's almost like we just started the show all over again. What is your why? What made you decide I'm going to be a podcast host and the rest, is history? Because I hear your episodes are already up. You're already running them. So come
Yes.
on, tell
Girl Talk
somebody.
with Rachel Brown.
Yeah, well, why? What happened with that? When I heard you talking about it, but I automatically supported you. What did I say? I think that's a good move because you got
Mm-hmm.
the gift of gab. I
I
know,
definitely.
I know she's quite loquacious, ladies and gentlemen. She can go.
Well,
So
that's my why. I love to
okay,
talk. I love and honestly, you know, I felt I would never do something if I don't feel like there's a need. If I feel like and I really feel like there's a need for it in our area because I feel like I started watching podcasts. I was approached about doing a podcast years ago, but I had reservations because I wasn't really familiar with the whole podcast world. It was kind of new to me. And I was like, what is this? I don't really know. And they asked me to do it about sports. Now I'm an avid
wait a minute.
sports
They
buff.
asked you to do it about sports.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they said because they were saying, hey, and not a lot of females are as versed about sports, as you are. Because every time everybody would see when everybody was, I mean, although I love Housewives, the shows and all of that, but they started to get a little much for me. So I kind of dove into the sports because I feel like there's drama in sports, but it's competition. It's friendly
Uh-huh.
competition, and I just thought that that was a better source to talk about. And I was always talking to people about sports. You know it. I would probably talk your ear off, like, okay, I mean, here I am running my mouth about Miami Heat or Dallas Cowboys or whoever, I'm watching at the time, and I was so knowledgeable about sports. But anyway, the sports thing, I was like,
I don't
that's
think
a
so.
that's
Right.
a lot. I
Yeah.
still kind of want to, although I love talking about sports, and I am gonna do Rachel Brown talks about sports, so that's coming
Okay.
too underneath the girl talk thing. So,
Right.
but I also thought that there are so many wonderful people here in our community in the South Florida area with so many wonderful stories to tell.
Mhm.
And it's such rich history in the music business. But really didn't feel like there was enough platforms other than people
Mhm.
talking to the stars and the celebrities. There's another side to the stars and the celebrities here in the area. And I wanted to give it a platform because, like you just said, my story, who's, if I don't tell my story, the young girl out there that thinks that you have to be a Beyonce,
Mhm.
to make it in this business, how is she
Mhm.
gonna not how is she gonna learn? If I
Correct.
make a platform for that, the everyday people with wonderful stories as yourself, and there's so many different people out here, and I want to give them positive stories about what we're doing in our community. This will be around forever. My grandkids, your grandkids will be able to come back and listen to what. And another reason why is because I
Okay.
wish I would have had this for my mother, because my mother did so many wonderful things, and
Mhm.
I would have loved for somebody to sit down with her and for her to be able to tell her story in her words, and I could
Mhm.
go back now and listen to it. So I'm going to leave this for my son. I'm going to leave this for, my grandkids, and they'll be able to come up and say, hey, that's my grandma, or that's my mom. They'll be able to have this platform. And yeah, so that's why it's formed, and that's why we're here, and because I love to talk, Greg. That's why.
Exactly. Hey, no, hey, you know something? Who better than someone like you? You've endured. Like the old Donnie McClurkin song. You might have heard me say, "We fall down, but
Oh
we
yeah,
get up." You know,
yeah,
we fall
yeah.
down, but we get
Most definitely.
up. And you know something,
Mm-hmm.
man? Because of the anchor you have from your religious background with your mom, you told me how much you went
Mm-hmm.
to church. And you know something? You've been around sports, you've been around music. Did you ever play any sports coming up as a kid?
Oh gosh, yes. Oh yes. I played. I was My main sport that I love, that I was the best in, was volleyball. I was
Okay,
a volleyball player. I didn't play. I didn't play at the college level. I didn't have a scholarship, but I did play intramural. So
okay.
that's just playing amongst, on campus, against other people, that love to play. And then we had different teams that we played. But yeah, I did. I played basketball, I ran track, and I played volleyball all in high
Oh,
school.
so
I was
that's
an
another
athlete.
an obscure, should I say, skill set that we didn't
Hmm.
delve into. Now that you
Yeah,
raised the bar on that, that is very interesting.
yeah.
So you went away.
I was
Where
an
did you go to
athlete.
college, Rachel? Where did you go to school?
I went to school in Texas. I went to TJC, then I came here and went to FAU.
Nice, nice, man.
Yeah,
Hey, listen, you know,
I never really loved school, so I wasn't like the best student. I was one of them inch by kind of students. So
but you know
hey,
what?
we got the job done.
Excuse me,
So
ma'am. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go all the way in and say, you got the paper? You do have the paper.
hey, that's all that
I'm gonna
matters,
make it
right?
real simple. Did you get the paper? Because the paper is a credential, and nobody
That's
can take
all
the
that matters.
credential.
They
That's
don't
all
go
that
back.
matters. Let me tell you something, Rachel. For the last 10 years in my classroom, and almost either on this GG Factor show or my master class, I always tell people the only limitations that exist are the ones you place upon yourself. If you say I can, it's a sure shot that you want. And the one right beyond that said, knowledge is power. I always say this though. activated knowledge is power. You got your credentials. You went in that classroom for a minute. You got your credentials as a singer. You went out there into the real world of entrepreneurship. You're still in it. You still can do whatever it is that you want to do. Let me tell you something, man.
Yeah, because you motivated me. I would watch it, just watching what you were doing. You know, a lot of times when you're around people, and it's very, very, very true. You got to get around people that's doing things. You got to be around people that's moving and shaking and showing you. They could show you the platform, and you could just watch. You don't even have to say anything. You could just watch what they're doing. You were the one that motivated me to get Rachel Brown Live as an LLC. I wouldn't have never known to do that unless I was watching what you guys were doing, and you guys laid the groundwork. And that's why your circle and the people that you hang with is so important. And having a mentor, even though, you know, everybody may not be have somebody that they feel like, you know, but at least get somebody to admire. And like having a person like yourself, and having somebody like, you know, my parents, of course, because, you know, my father was an entrepreneur. You know, he master's electrician. So, you know, just having different people that you can. And now, I mean, I'm so happy to say most of my brothers are entrepreneurs. They have jobs, and they're entrepreneurs. I'm so proud of what everyone is doing. And because these days, Greg, we have to know how, like you said, monetize your passion. You have to have other ways to make money. And this right here, these platforms are something that we have now that we didn't know. I mean, a few years ago, they were gatekeepers. We would never be able to do this ourselves. And now we see how much money they were making. You know, there's a lot of money to be made in these platforms, but you got to start somewhere. You just got to start. You know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Whoa, boy, I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Can you say that one more time about the shots? What did you just say, Rachel Brown? Please say that again.
You miss 100% of the shots you do not take.
Hello. And at the end of the day,
I just want to say this. Shot, it's a sure miss. So that's what made me start, pivot and then say, look, you love to talk. Guess what? I didn't even want to go out. You know, I love being home. So I just created the studio in my home. Mm-hmm. So, you know, don't say there's no excuses. You know, there's something that you can do. You know, if you have extra room in your house, just start. And, you know, once you start and, you know, people, you believe in yourself first, and then others, once you show that you believe in you. You know, a lot of times people don't want to invest in themselves. No. Why would you, if you don't invest in yourself? When we were working on our project, if I was sitting on the bench and I wasn't throwing my money, we are all throwing money into this situation. You know, if I would have decided that I'm going to sit on the bench and let y'all put up all the money and I'm not going to do anything, I'm not going to do any investing in myself. You know, I'm not going to invest in myself physically. I'm not going to invest in myself, physically, spiritually, financially, mentally. Then why would somebody else invest in you? You have to invest in yourself.
You know, I have to say this, that you're speaking truth, because you know something. Either you can quantify or it's a subjective lie. I'm going to say that again. Either you can quantify or it's a subjective lie. Hey, and Rachel Brown, you can quantify. I know I can quantify. I don't just sit up here just blaring off at people. I tell them, if you believe what I'm saying, I'll show you what I've done, and you can do it too. And the most important thing you said, my book is called Activate or Stagnate. For one reason, you must take action. Get off the bench of procrastination, because if you stay there long enough, see, there's something called organized chaos, and I talk about it a little bit. If you don't find a balance, you just fall for whatever's going on in your life, and you stay in that lifestyle management comfort zone. You stay in your box. And until you decide to step out of the box, Nelson Mandela said it, Rachel, and I always quote it to people. It always seems impossible until you get it done. It always seems impossible. I've run 25 marathons. And I remember when I couldn't even run a mile. I was already over 40 years old. I remember what it felt like. I felt the fear monster telling me, what your old ass gonna do? You over 40. You talking about running a marathon. And Rachel, I walked out my classroom door, Flanagan High School, 1996. I just started teaching. The school had just opened. The school was just trying to organize themselves, and the head coach for cross country had 40 kids and just him. And something inside of me said, hey, man, don't you think you could use a little help? He said, man, your timing couldn't have been better. We need a head coach for the girls. And I didn't know, but God had a plan. As soon as I took that job and started running with those girls 30 and 40 miles a week, I forgot about nothing but saying, you know what? I think I can run a marathon. And the rest, because up until then, in Tampa, Florida, all I ever did was the Gasparilla Classic was a 10K. And the Field Monster, every time I even thought about it, I would even run. My sister went to FSU. I would run from FAMU over to FSU and run back. That was about the furthest I would do and say, that's enough. And I got home, got out of college, came back.
So you didn't do any running in high school?
I was a football player, a basketball player, a pitcher in baseball, a swimmer, but I never did track. I never did distance. I never did nothing like that in track and field.
So you weren't in a band in high school?
Of course I was. I was a musician. Okay. You know that. I played my first instrument was trumpet. Jesus. Yeah. I started in trumpet in seventh grade, and man, that was it. My brother gave me a trumpet. Said, I want you to learn to play the trumpet like I did. My brother went to Florida A&M University when I was 6 years old. And I tell people all the time, it's about exactly what we're talking about. I was surrounded by someone who was a role model to me. I never met my father. You met my father with me for the first time in my life.
I remember.
Rachel Brown met me when I met my father, and I didn't even know he was my dad for sure.
We did a Kappa party for them.
Thank you.
And remember, they tried to get us to go up to the apartment that night, but we didn't. I mean, we were tired. That whole situation, the way that played out in front of us, that was crazy.
But guess who saw that happen? You did. If I could ever quantify to anybody and tell them my life story, I got someone who met him with me.
I sure can.
And it was my first time meeting him in my life. And my point why I mentioned him was because until I met my biological father, I had a man in my life that was called my big brother, Nelson Griffith. And he was exactly everything that I thought I wanted to be in my life. And from 6 years old, when I saw him leave and go to Florida A&M University, and Rachel, he got in the marching 100, I say, I'm going to get in the 100. He gave me a trumpet. I learned how to play that trumpet. And he came home. And see, we used to have these big shows in Tampa, Florida. I mean, the classic, they called it. They still have the classic up in Orlando, but it used to be in Tampa. And the black, like the Black Wall Street over in Tulsa, they had a Black Wall Street in Tampa called Central Avenue. And it was about a half mile, maybe not even a mile long, of nothing but black businesses. And every year my brother would come home from FAMU and come home for the homecoming there and march down Central Avenue. And I can still see him right now when I close my eyes, man, that beautiful orange and green and white. I said, man, I'm going to wear that suit, man. I'm going to FAMU, man. I'm going to get in that band. I'm going to play trumpet. And you know what? Guess what? It all happened.
You manifested.
I manifested it way back then,
That's
Rachel.
awesome,
and God made a way out of nowhere. And fast forward.
One of the best things that right now, I know is that my son had the opportunity to go to an HBCU. Mm-hmm. I love that for him because I just think that it gives you such a sense of culture.
Oh yeah.
Carl went. I didn't go to, but Carl did, and I am so happy. And he's happy. He's so excited about being there. And it's such a wonderful thing, and it's the culture at those schools is just, you can't teach that. No. I mean, to be on the inner workings of it, it's special. It's very, very special.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, man. I know what FAMU was like for me, man. And just, honestly, I don't care if I didn't even go to FAMU, but just to leave home, have the responsibility to take care of yourself, get up, go to those classes every day.
Ain't no lesson like that.
Priceless.
Ain't no lesson. Listen, I I tell all the parents to send their kids to college. I don't
That's
care
right.
where it's at. Go, let them leave. That experience, that's where we grow up. That's where you
Hello.
grow up. That's where you figure out who you are. You figure out yourself and your life, and you become whoever it is you're going to become.
And you
You
know
do.
something, you can't turn around and run home to mama. You can't run home to daddy. Your ass got to do exactly what's necessary, what's pertinent.
And it gonna
And
tell if you a real student or not.
hello,
Are you gonna do your work? Because the temptations are out there, and I was part of
discipline,
the temptation crew. I used to go
discipline.
out every night.
That's right. Hey, let me tell you something, man. We don't even have time to talk about it. I'm gonna just be honest with you, boy. I barely got through my freshman year at FAMU because of what we talking about. Let me tell you, and when I realized that, and I knew that my Pell Grant, I knew my scholarships, I knew everything, my financial aid, everything was on the line. A brother came back. I was an
Hmm.
economics major. I switched to business administration, and I made the honor roll every single quarter in my
Oh, that's
sophomore year.
awesome.
Because I barely had a 2.0 when I left that freshman year because I was
Ooh.
a complete idiot. I was so off base. I was having a good time. I'm serious. I
And you
was
were
just,
away from home. You were living your best life.
oh man, the grace of God got me through it. I'm just being
Wow.
honest with you. The grace of God got me through it. That I
When
went
you
to
got
family
through it,
4 years and got out. Four
when
in,
you
I
got
always say
through,
4 in, 4 out. And I was
you
out,
got
and
it.
you
And
know
you
something?
and the rest is history.
It's
You
rest
were
is
able to.
history. You never would have told me to fast forward that I would have jumped on the back of a U-Haul truck with me and my sister and 7 other musicians. And 6 months later, I would have a recording deal that brought me to what? South Florida, that would
Yeah.
lead me to meet Gary King, that would lead me to meet all these agents that you got to meet with me, like Dick Barton, and all the kind of people, Johnny Grapevine, the people I'm talking about. You were around me coming up in that era. And let me tell you something, man. That first 1980s, all the way up until you met me, was like groundwork for me. So I tell
Hmm.
people, when you got that tag mentality that you have, Rachel, you've taken a pivot now. You've got girl talk going in. And tonight was just a classic example of why I know you're going to be a phenomenal success with it. I know that you have that divine insight to bring the best out of people. And I absolutely want to say to you that this has been my pleasure tonight. I'm sure you
Oh
have been
yeah.
an awakening for everyone. And I can't even begin to think about until we just talked about it. It's just crazy when you mentioned we started talking about, my dad. We started talking about things that triggered me all the way to the point that, and I sat back, I just stopped. I said, wow, man, Rachel met my dad with me before anybody in my
Mhm.
family or anybody, and I didn't even know he was my dad. I thought he might have been, and I'll never forget, Rachel. You walked up and said, well, Greg, you called me Greg, said, Greg, sorry, man, that man looked just like you. He
Yeah,
said,
he no,
just like you, Greg.
I actually thought
I hadn't
him
done
and
no DNA
Jonathan,
test, though. I hadn't done
him and
anything.
Jonathan's mouth, their whole facial structure at the bottom is identical. To
Totally.
Jonathan and your son. I mean, him and Jonathan. I mean, you guys have like this whole bottom part of your face is all your dad. I
Well,
was
I'm
like,
grateful,
wow,
man. Yeah.
yeah, it was
You know,
crazy.
I say this to people all the time, that some things we have control over and some we don't. But one thing that we cannot stop is fate.
Oh
You wouldn't
yeah.
have told me that I'd be sitting there with a YouTube show talking to you about your girl talk show. You wouldn't have told me that we've been performing together. We're still going to perform in a couple of weeks together. You wouldn't have told me that all the way through the rest of this year. We got gigs booked all the way up to the end of this year. And honestly speaking, it's because at the end of the day, back to what I call tag, you got to have that tenacity and audacity and the capacity. One more plug out there for my book, Rachel, and I'm gonna say good night to everybody
Oh
now.
yeah.
Rachel Brown, how do they reach you? That's the first off. Before you get out of here with me tonight, I can't let you just click off and don't tell people how do they reach Rachel Brown? What's your social media? How do we get in touch with you? Where you're working? What's going on? Tell us a little bit before we get out of here now.
So you can reach me, I'm on all the platforms. I'm on under Rachel Brown Live.
Okay.
So you can reach me on Instagram, Rachel Brown Live. I'm also on Instagram as girl talk, girls
Oh, okay.
underscore talk, Rachel Brown. So yeah, it's girl talk, Rachel Brown on Instagram, and Facebook is Rachel Brown Live.
Okay.
All the social media platforms, you can reach me at Rachel Brown Live.
Excellent. Now, other
Mm-hmm.
question. I do know you do mostly private jobs like I do, but are you working in any public venues where if you want to give an unconditional plug that someone could come out and see you in the public as far as what we've been talking about? We split this about 50-50 because I knew it would be that way, but is there anywhere you're performing anytime soon that somebody can come and see this intrinsic gift that God gave you?
Well, I mean, I do work with the Ladies of Memory Lane, and
Okay.
we perform. The guys perform every Monday at 10 Roof. So, and I'm there periodically, at least probably once a month on Mondays at in 10 Roof in Delray.
And the
Delray
ladies,
Beach.
what was the name of that girl group that
The
you were with?
Ladies of Memory Lane. The
Now,
ladies.
remember, so you got to let them know because and you got to give an unconditional plug to my man Dale. You know,
Most definitely,
we
Dale
didn't even,
Carter.
I forgot to break because
Girl Talk would not be if it was not for Dale Carter. Dale Carter is the mastermind. He's a producer, one of the producers of Girl Talk with Rachel Brown, and Memory Lane is his baby. And Memory Lane, he has the male and the females, and pretty much like a Motown group, and phenomenal singers. And they're every Monday night at 10 Roof is Motown Mondays with Memory Lane. So
where's
be sure
10
to
Roof?
go out there. 10 Roof is on in Delray, right on Atlantic Avenue.
On the Strip?
On the Strip.
Oh, okay. I might have to take a Monday and come on up there. But listen, I had to plug in on my man Dale. When you mentioned Memory Lane, I know that's his baby. But the fact that you sitting there on that pod talk, on this podcast, Girl Talk, and I will never forget when you told me, hey man, Dale's gonna help me hook this up. And when I knew that, I know him because you know Dale's work ethic. He don't play around.
Oh yeah.
No matter what.
Dale with Girl Talk, and then Israel Charles. I got to give a shout out to Iz, because man, look, he put together a phenomenal intro song for my podcast, and anything and everything that I need done musically, my man Iz got my back. So I definitely got to shout them out. Thank you guys. Greg, keep me working, keep my pockets lined. Him and Dale. And, I'm just very appreciative for what God has placed around me and in my life to help this train keep moving. My Girl Tribe vibe, if you join my Girl Talk, you're part of the Girl Tribe vibe, and, come join us over here. We have lots of fun.
You say, I know you can't hear it, but I started the music. I started with music. I ended with music. Music will always be in my life. Music will always be in your life. I'm going to invite everybody out to find your passion.
Make sure you go get those books.
Come on out. Come on out on Thursday nights. Find your passion with me. That's 2 nights from tonight, Thursday night. Theactivator.net. I got a link right here in the comments. If you come back later, you'll be able to find it. I'm so honored to say, Rachel Brown, I thank you so very much because you enlightened all of us tonight about your gift that you monetize. And you know what? I know there's some more music coming from you. I don't even want to get into it. I just want to say we will be looking forward to it.
Look forward to it. Look, I got several things coming down the pipe. You guys look out for it. I'm working on a new project. Definitely going to have some other things coming with the podcast. So, it's a lot going on over here.
Oh, that's what I need to hear, kid. Yeah. God bless you. Keep doing what you do.
Thank you.
We need you out here.
You too, man. We need you. We need you to keep these kids activated. Good night.
Doubt. Hey, I'm on a mission. That's all I can say. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all doing. We're taking our passions, we're monetizing them, we're empowering people. Remember, the GG Factor is every Tuesday night. Whether I got a guest or not, I'll be the one with the perspective. So
shout out to my girl Maru behind the scenes. Love you, girl.
All right. Hey, Maru, she gave me a shout out there. She said, all right. So, hey, Rachel, be blessed. And until the next time, I want to say, see ya.
See ya.